Hello everyone and welcome to this video in the BK Course Guides series. A series aimed at those playing tour play in Golf Clash, either stepping up to a new tour completely or learning a new course as a result of tour play reshuffles during the game. We're looking at the KOH Resort today, which I do enjoy playing actually. It's a fun course, some challenging moments and some very interesting routes and elevations to choose from. As always, we're going to put the overviews for all 9 holes in order as follows: par 4s, then par 5s, then finishing with the shootouts. General routes and elevations, regardless of the tee that you'll be playing from, including my tips on tour play strategy and how close you need to be on the shootouts to have a good idea or chance of winning the game. Before we get started, don't forget to please do hit thumbs up on the video if you're enjoying the content here on the channel, and if you're not a subscriber yet, please do consider becoming one. It is totally free. Timestamps are in the video description down below if you want to check out a certain set of holes, but otherwise for now let's get started with the par 4s. Okay then, here we go. Left hand side is the play for me here. A small proportion of players do play out to the right hand side, however the drive is a little bit trickier and it doesn't actually get you an easier second shot. In fact, the second shot is harder playing out to the right hand side because you've got that green side bunker that will be in the way. So left side is the play, 20% on the drive, and we want to bounce before those 2 fairway bunkers there with as much topspin as possible, and we want to get as far down that little left section as possible, again without risking the bushes. I do favour the big topper here in for lower accounts, but then higher up the chain of players, then Thor's Hammer and Apocalypse with all that lovely topspin. Very good indeed. So 20% on the drive. If we do have strong headwind, we may not really be able to risk going over the fairway bunkers, and we don't want to land in them because then it's very difficult second shot to get safely on the green. So you may need to lay up there and take a longer second shot. If you get a good distance on your drive, you will be within short iron range. I've put 10% extra here. We can use yardage notes, very good in tournaments, and if you can get some going in tour play as well, then that will be very beneficial. It's a decent chance for an eagle. Obviously, if your drive is shorter, then you will be in minimum distance with your long iron. So, decent chance on this one, but left side really in all winds is the way to go, in my opinion. Quite a few different options to talk about on this one now. Let's start with the white line. So, even though the fairway looks a little bit narrower, it's actually not too bad. You will need some right spin and some top spin and maybe some right curl as well if the wind is pushing you to the left. It's nice to have a driver with accuracy here. Obviously, if you do hit the rough or anything here, especially on the right hand side as we look from the tee, then you will have difficulty getting anywhere near the green. But assuming all goes well, you've got a very nice straight line to the green with no hazards in the way really for your second shot. I will play the drive plus 20%, and from there you're going to have a wood club second shot playing at 10%. So the sniper is the most common one. You can probably find the minimum distance line, play with topspin if you do have crosswind or headwind. If not, you'll obviously have to aim a little bit closer to the green so you've got room to adjust back. There is also a rough bump there just to the left of the blue cross near the green, but you will need a side spin 3 ball for that one. So just got to decide which is for you really in terms of that route. If you don't want to play right hand side or the wind is maybe not in your favour, then take the left hand route instead. This is a more aggressive route to be honest, but you've got to deal with a bit more elevation. 20% on the drive, and it's all about getting the right length of the drive here so that you don't roll into the rough, and also do not go too far to the left, otherwise you will have the trees in your way for the second shot. So 20%, get yourself down there towards the rough there, just beyond the tip of the first arrow. From there you have 2 options, but both of them play at an average of 40% extra elevation because this is massively downhill. So you can either bounce over on that small pad there just before the tip of the black arrow, or if you would like to play a little bit more aggressively, then go for the rough bump. The rough is a little bit thin there and you will need a good adjustment, so be careful. It's nicer to play with a long iron with accuracy here if the other holes in your tour allow you to do so. But either way, it is 40%, obviously may need to be tweaked with higher winds and certain wind directions. So it's up to you how aggressive you want to be. And the final of the par 4s, again we've got a choice of left or right side, and it's all depending on how you feel most comfortable with the routes and also what the wind is doing as well, because bear in mind, tailwind on the left hand side will obviously then be more of a crosswind playing the right hand side, because there is quite a degree of variance in the angle that you're shooting from the tee. So just have a look when you start the hole at what the wind's doing and which side you want to play. Black line is the less aggressive of the two, slightly easier drive, 10% elevation. You need to get into the top corner of that fairway where it kind of turns the right angle to the right towards the green. That will then leave you, in most cases, a sniper shot or a wood club, and there is a rough bump here as well. 0% elevation on the second shot, but if you don't fancy that, then just bounce on the fairway with some right curl and right spin to take you into the pin, because the pin is guarded by the rough and the sand going from the left hand side particularly. If you do have big boy clubs and aggressive options with your drive, then you can put a load of topspin on with the Apocalypse and go with a curl shot, cutting the corner, in which case you will be most likely left with a long iron, or in a very good case a nice short iron if you've got the equipment to do so. Right hand side, playing straight ahead there on the right, 10% elevation, and once again want to get as far down as we can. Second shot from there does play at 10% as well. You can either, once again, like the last par 4, bounce over on that pad and clear the rough and the sand and just roll towards the pin, or if you're feeling aggressive, then there is a rough bump there as well. 10% is only a baseline here. Sometimes on that rough bump and indeed the bounce over, we have had to play a little bit more, kind of 20% on that. So again, look carefully at what the wind is doing and how strong it is according to what ball you're using as well. So 2 options to choose from there on the last par 4. Here we go with the par 5s then, and I've got 2 elevations for the drive here. In straight tailwind and straight headwind, I will play this at 20% elevation. And this is something I do on quite a few holes, to be honest, because in those winds, especially when it is directly vertical, then the wind will affect the ball a bit more. And we don't want to, in the case of direct tailwind, land straight into the rough on our first bounce. So I just back up slightly, give it a bit more adjustment. And in crosswind, because the fairway is narrow, I just go 10% here. We don't want to be over adjusting it in level crosswind either. So we're bouncing over the bunker anyway with the elevations I've suggested, with as much topspin as we can. Maybe a little bit of side spin here, but like I said, look at the diagram. That fairway is narrow. We do, all importantly, particularly with lower level, less accurate drivers, need to hit perfect. If we are in the rough here on the drive, we're not going to be reaching the green area in 2, and we will have to lay up, which is obviously not ideal, because in this we want to get the eagle and get it to shoot out. Providing all goes well with the drive, second shot played at 0%, although sometimes we do play 10% as well. We'll talk about that in a minute. But you've got 2 options, bouncing over or the rough bump. Now the rough bump is the light blue cross. The landing point being slightly further away and slightly more downhill is where I might play 10% elevation, to be honest. But the bounce over, usually I can do with a 0 on the red cross. There is a little sticky spot to be found here, so try and find that with your second bounce. And if you've got the sniper, then that is a very good option as well. In the event you will have a strong headwind on the second shot, you can actually go with overpower and topspin and try and propel the ball out of the rough just to the right of the bunker, just to get it out onto the fairway or the fringe if you can't actually bounce over directly. But for me, that is the only route to play on this hole. The left side just puts you further away from the green, and you have a difficult second shot without a very good line. So those are my suggestions. As always, especially with the par 5s on this course, power 3 ball is the way to go. 2 routes shown on this par 5, but most likely going to play the black line here. We'll talk about the white lines in a moment. So we are bouncing over the sand once again with some topspin on the driver. Don't overdo it though. We do not want to roll in the rough at all, because you're going to have a very difficult job reaching the green in 2. In headwind, this drive is an absolute pain, but again, like before, we need an accurate drive. That fairway is narrow. There is not a lot of margin for error, so beware. Great left or great right is going to be problematic, particularly with drivers with low accuracy. 10% elevation, and again, power 3 ball needed on this hole because it's long. Assuming all goes well, 0% wood club second shot, and you can bounce over where the red cross is with some topspin and just get yourself to roll up onto the green nicely. Or if you're feeling more aggressive, the blue cross there is a rough bump. I would be playing true club distance, 0 elevation in most cases, The rough bump for me is usually a level crosswind job. There is a slight margin for a misadjustment or a great ball, minor great ball. But you know, as I said, crosswind really is my favoured for that one. Otherwise, we don't want to be kind of over adjusting and landing directly in the sand. But like I say, if you don't feel like playing aggressive, just bounce over and get yourself to green for the eagle. The white line is something we play from third tee if we do have extreme headwind and we can't reach the bounce point for the black line, in which case you will need, most likely if you're in Tour 11 and 12, a special ball here with a lot of wind resistance just to secure the eagle, as we do in tournaments. Bounce over on the left with all the topspin that you can, and most likely from there, even if your drive goes very well indeed, you will need the cataclysm to get to the green in 2. But like I said, if we can go the black line, that is the best way to proceed. And finally, with the par 5s, we go on to this one, and I'm discounting the left-hand side completely, again, because the second shot from that side is just so difficult and really doesn't get you a very nice line to the pin at all. So right side is the play. We're going to need some topspin, but don't go too giddy on the topspin. Anything over 3.5, 4 bars does risk getting a glitch roll and will land you into the rough. Chances are you could reach, to be honest, if you have good wind on the second shot, but we really do need to be on the fairway when we're playing tour play. We don't want to be making any early errors. 10% extra on the drive, like I said. We will need top spin, left spin, and also some left curl, and we just want to bounce there. Don't over curl it, otherwise you will land up in the bunker there to the left of the tip of the first black arrow. Second shot, 0% usually, but in obviously heavier crosswind scenarios, you will need to play it 10% as well. But we're going to need some topspin there. Chances are with the sniper, you're going to have to back up. You won't be bouncing very close to the green because this is a long second shot. So you will need some topspin. Difficult to get the pace right on this one. So be careful. If you do have tailwind, leave the ball guide short, and in similar fashion with headwind, make sure you've got enough ball guide going through the hole so that you don't land really short on this second shot. But it is a good chance, to be honest, out of all of the three. I'm not saying it's a must drop in terms of albatross, but it's definitely an easier chance at it than the other two holes. We do see some albas picked up on this hole in tournament, but with all of these drives, especially the par 5s, power 3 ball once again is the preferred option, just in case you get a horrendous wind for the second shot, and we will need to hit perfect. Any risk of the sand or the rough will put the hole in jeopardy. And on we go to the shootouts. Now these are generally quite challenging really with the KOH, again because of the elevation, and look at the fairway design here. Not really a great amount to choose from. The red cross is the most common area. You can bounce before that on the first pass of fairway, but the problem there is you're going to have a big second bounce to deal with. So we want to try and cut that down. It's going to be a wood club from the first two tees. Rear tee, obviously, up in the higher tours, will be the driver, in which case I would be playing 40% as a general rule there, because the tee box is situated on a higher point. So we want to be bouncing there just on the beginning of the fairway that is connected to the green, applying a little bit of backspin for front tee, but obviously then we need to be careful with what power ball we are using, because it is easy to go in between clubs on this one. From the middle tee, it is of course going to be the sniper, and you are going to be close to max distance of the club. Even if you are using a power 3 ball and setting up around mid, I would still be adjusting max numbers here to factor in the elevation. In terms of how close you need to be, it is a little bit tricky. There are harder holes though in the KOH, so I would say within 4 yards is a pretty good marker here, but if you can get within 3, then you will have a decent chance of winning. Now this one is definitely one of the easier shootouts in terms of the routes and the bounce points and the elevation to a degree, but you need to be bouncing on the correct part of the fairway. What you won't be able to see here is the slope where the red cross is. That is a downhill slope, so will give you a flat bounce. Front tee will be a long iron, and we do want to be bouncing there with some of the backspin to get the flat bounce and to steady the ball nicely to the pin. Completely straight line off all of the tees, so you do need to be close, and you've got very good chances of a hole in one on this shootout. Pro and Expert division, you've got two options. You can bounce on the same point, but you will need to use a wood club with plenty of backspin. So lower level snipers will not be able to do this shot, and it's up to you whether you will have played the main hole with the Guardian. Most likely not, so you've got to weigh up what level sniper you have if you were off the middle tee. The alternate there, if you don't fancy the backspin heavy shot on the red cross, is you bounce with the long iron. And again, the Grizzly is very good, but also the Goliath is fine. Of course, you don't have as much ball guide to deal with. But in that event, you will need a little bit of topspin to bounce over there and run nicely onto the green. Master division, that will be the route all day and every day. Rather than bouncing directly before the green, you will need to be playing the bounce up shot with the sniper usually. 20% is the general elevation really for all three tees, but what I would say on this one, it is the easiest shootout on the course, so I would aim to be within 2 yards to win on this hole. And to finish, we have the trickiest shootout in the KOH Resort course. And we'll talk about the front tee first. That is an easier line. The bunker is out of play completely, so it's a lot easier to do to play this shot with the long iron. Really, not going to be needing a wood club here, and we're just going to be playing a nice bounce over and down to the green. Still need a lot of elevation though, so I would suggest 30% general elevation from a front tee. Now, we have some options for second and third tee, and again, this is going to be very, very much club dependent as well. The usual route is the sniper option, which is on the red cross, that is bouncing down for Pro and Expert. Play that one 40% elevation. You do have a huge second bounce wind effect to deal with, but you want to bounce over the entire bunker and get yourself as close to the pin, obviously, as possible, but it is difficult. The blue cross near the fringe, if you have a driver that you've used in the main hole with a load of backspin, then you can go directly down there. So the quarterback would be a max backspin shot, otherwise we're looking at Thor's hammer. That one I would play plus 50%. And the same elevations would apply from the rear tee as well for Tour 11 and 12. Going to be needing at least 40%, and it's either, once again, going to be a wood club, but most likely driver. One of the most tricky shootouts in the game due to it being massively downhill. So we're not really aiming to get within, say, 2 or 3 yards. I would class, to be honest, within 5 yards to be a pretty good effort on the shootout. There are some difficulties if you are bouncing close to the green in terms of getting a consistent spot. And of course, you may well end up adjusting down into the sand as well. So adjust with care on this one. It's all about leaving a decent offset as well for the second bounce, especially in crosswind. But like I say, within 5 yards, honestly, is a pretty good effort on this hole. Thank you very much for watching this course guide video. If you have found it useful, please do share amongst your friends in the game, and don't forget to check out the rest of the course guides in the playlist. If you do have any questions whatsoever, please do join us on Facebook in our group BK Golf Clash. We have thousands of members there. Link is in the video description down below. Friendly place where players of the game of all skill levels can interact, help each other out and ask questions. So you can ask away there. No question will be considered too trivial. Wonderful people there will be happy to help out. Thank you once again for watching. See you all very soon. Bye for now.